Welcome back to Scout Report, where we're brushing aside all the drama and hysteria that has accompanied Barcelona in recent times, and instead focusing on the bright lights that could guide the club towards a prosperous future. For all their troubles, Barcelona boasts some of the best young talent in the world, be it from La Masia or the rare strands of intelligent business left behind by Josep Bartomeu. We aren't discussing the incredible Ansu Fati this time due to his recent return from injury, but here are three other players we think can make the difference for the Blaugrana. Ronald Araújo. Sometimes it's the most obscure transfers that turn out to be the best. That is certainly the case with centre-half Ronald Araújo, signed back in 2018 from Uruguayan outfit Boston River for an initial €1.7 million. That fee could rise to €5.2 million over time with add-ons, and judging by the 22-year-old's current success, Boston River will be expecting plenty more checks in the post from Catalunya. Araújo is a commanding presence at the heart of defence, and a natural-looking heir to Gerard Piqué. At 1 metre 88 centimetres, he's roughly an inch and a half shorter than his veteran teammate, but the two share the same dominant attributes. The Uruguayan makes 5.1 clearances per 90 to Piqué's 6.8, and also wins 76.9% of his aerial duels to the Spaniard's 77.3%. One of Barcelona's biggest weaknesses as a whole is their aerial supremacy, currently losing as many aerial duels as they're winning, making Araujo's qualities all more vital. Eric Garcia, for example, has only won 45% of his battles in the air, a stat which drops even lower on the ground. But Araujo is more than just a bludgeoning tower capable of swatting away crosses and long balls. The majority of his clearances are intelligently directed towards a teammate, while he is comfortable in possession, currently boasting a 93.6% pass accuracy in La Liga. That's not to say his passing is that progressive, with only 13 of his attempted passes going at least 10 yards towards the opponent's goal. But only Frenkie de Jong, Sergio Busquets and Serginho Dest have completed more than his 340 passes so far, demonstrating how Araujo is often the man tasked with winning back the ball before recycling it to a player more suited to advancing possession. In that sense, Araujo isn't the typical ball-playing Barcelona defender capable of marauding forwards. But at a time when the Blaugrana have never looked so fragile, the Uruguayan international's solidity is a much-needed asset. Naturally, there are areas where he could improve. This season, he is down to just 1 tackle per 90, a fall of 0.7 on last season, while a pressure success rate of 26.3% is the lowest in his career. But his poor tackling output can partly be attributed to Barcelona being the most possession-heavy side in La Liga on 64.1%, while his pressure return comes hand in hand with his preference to defend on the front foot, staying close to his opposite forward rather than dropping off. It's high risk, but he can get away with this as he's capable of clocking speeds of 34.91 km per hour, quicker than anyone in the Spanish top flight last term. And he clearly has strong positional intelligence too, as demonstrated by the fact he completes 2 blocks per 90. With 48 appearances for Barcelona to his name and 5 caps for Uruguay under his belt, Araujo has a big future. Koeman has openly praised his young guard for his bravery and maturity on the pitch, and as the Blaugrana continue to navigate their current path of uncertainty, those qualities have never looked so important. Pedri. This isn't the first and certainly won't be the last time Pedri features on a Scout Report. The Spaniard is simply excellent, as reflected in the fact Barcelona have just handed him an improved deal until 2026 with a release clause of €1 billion. But what's even more scary is he's still only 18. In previous videos we have praised his unbelievable engine and maturity in the midfield. Despite his youth, he became one of Koeman's most trusted players last season, racking up 52 appearances in all competitions. He led the way when it comes to closing down the opposition, completing 7 pressures per 90 from 24.7 attempted, while his 661 overall pressures was the 6th most in La Liga. But on the ball he was brilliant as well. Drifting between a holding and attacking role on the left side of the midfield, he put up 2.9 shot creating actions per 90, with 64 of his 79 overall actions coming from live passes. Pedri even posted a pass accuracy of 87.7%, demonstrating shades of great Barcelona midfielders like Iniesta and Gavi that have come before him. An overall return of 3 goals and 3 assists might not jump off the screen, but an XG chain of 0.88 per 90 shows how when Barca score, Pedri is heavily involved. It was a similar story for Spain in the summer. Luis Enrique has quickly elevated Pedri to his starting 11, also recognising the unbelievable talent at his disposal. The Tenerife-born star might not have registered a single goal involvement from 630 minutes of Euros action, but the blame can hardly be laid at his door. Pedri's 27 shot creating actions was the most of any player in the tournament, as was his 177 completed passes in the final third, while he also ranked top for accurate through balls with 4. A constant threat in possession, he was fouled 2.2 times per match, with the opposition quickly discovering that disrupting Pedri was a necessary measure to halt the Spanish attack. And to top it all off, he covered 76.1 kilometres throughout the tournament, behind only Jorginho and Calvin Phillips, but a stat he would have surely have topped if Spain overcame Italy in the semi-finals. In that game, Pedri completed all 55 passes he attempted, shining brightest amongst a plethora of Ballon d'Or nominees including Nicola Barella and of course Jorginho. Pedri's performance was so impressive, Luis Enrique described it as beyond all logic. The former Barcelona coach went on to tell Marca he'd not seen anyone at the age of 18 do what Pedri has done in a Euros, World Cup or an Olympic Games. At the time of writing, Pedri has only featured twice for Barcelona in the current campaign. His punishing summer schedule that also saw him turn out for Spain at the Olympics has clearly taken its toll. But when he returns to full flight, the likes of Memphis Depay, Ansu Fati and Sergio Aguero should reap the benefits. A progressive, efficient and unbelievably reliable midfielder, Barcelona have worked wonders to ensure the 18-year-old will be on the books at the Camp Nou until 2026 at the very least. Let's see what a monster he can become. Gavi. In Pedri, Frenkie de Jong and Sergio Busquets, Barcelona already have a midfield trio that stands tall amongst the very best in club football. But Busquets turns 34 this year and can't surge on forever. Fortunately, in Gavi, La Masia has produced a new sensation that could one day fill the void left behind by the Blaugrana legend. The youngest of our 3 players at 17, at first glance Gavi comes across as yet another diminutive technician we've grown to expect from Barcelona. At just under 5'7", he's not the most physically imposing, often letting his gifted on-ball ability do the talking. Playing predominantly at the centre of midfield, Gavi has completed on average 90.9% of his passes from 348 minutes of La Liga action this campaign, even holding down a 75% long ball accuracy too. This alone is hugely impressive for a player with his relative inexperience. But when you factor in that he currently leads his side with 9.5 passes into the final third per 90, it becomes clear that Gavi is much more than just a metronome in midfield, but an accurate and progressive playmaker. Within La Masia, he was renowned for his creativity and unpredictability. The story goes that he was signed from the Real Betis Academy aged 11 after orchestrating a 5-0 destruction of Barcelona's own youth squad. 6 years later, and that predatory instinct is coming through in the first team. He completes 1.2 dribbles per match, and while he might only be on 1.3 shots and key passes per 90 at the time of writing, these numbers will surely rise over time. But what makes Gavi particularly special is the aggression that accompanies his game. A bitter loser with a fearless attitude, his defensive numbers are surprisingly strong. This season, he has averaged 2.4 tackles and interceptions, 2.4 blocks and attempted 16.8 pressures per 90, showing a tenacity and competitiveness that is often sought after in the modern midfielder. What's more, despite his height, he's even won 2.1 aerials per 90 at a success rate of 66%. All these qualities are winning him plenty of admirers. Spain's national team coach Luis Enrique felt comfortable enough to make Gavi La Rioja's youngest ever player in the recent Nations League fixtures, breaking a record that has stood since 1936. Handed a starting role against Italy in the semi-finals, Gavi more than held his own against the likes of Verratti and Jorginho. He won 4 of his 7 tackles attempted, completed 47 of his 53 passes, and pulled off 2 of his 3 attempted dribbles. He may have also completed 7 fouls, but such was his impact and hunger to compete that Enrique was happy to keep him on the pitch until the 83rd minute as Spain emerged victorious. After such a quality debut, it's clear Gavi has a long-term future in the Spanish side. But in the meantime, it's Barcelona who will reap the benefits of this special young talent, who for years has been a reference point for any player entering La Masia. Let's see if Ronald Koeman or whoever comes next can keep Gavi on his one-way ticket to stardom. So those are 3 youth stars that we think can save Barcelona. In your opinion, who is the most important? You can include Fati in your opinion. Let us know in the comments down below. As always, make sure you're liked and subscribed to Euro Football Daily with the notification bell switched on, and we'll see you next time.